Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening. I know it's a Thursday evening, and we have another lovely session on cybersecurity this time. Our speaker for today is Tanya. Tanya is a AVP at Barclays, and she brings deep expertise in project management, responsible AI, and cybersecurity as a certified agile practitioner, scrum master, and a business analyst. She also has a book called Discovering the Silver Bullet that shares impactful lessons on agile transformation and project delivery. Tanya is also an active mentor with AnitaB.org and other women communities like Women in Tech, India, and so on and so forth. Thank you so much for joining us today, Tanya, for the Cybersecurity One-on-One session, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Arushi. And yeah, thank you, everyone. Welcome to the session. And before I go into the cybersecurity session that we have today, and just want to add some more things to it. Before that, let me just start sharing my screen. Um, okay. Arushi, let me know if my screen is visible.
Yes, it's. Should I
Okay.
launch the poll right now?
Yeah, you can launch the poll right now.
Great.
Yeah, so while Larushi is sharing the poll, I just wanted to know how many of you are already into cybersecurity, or you are looking at it as probably as a career in the future. So yeah, just let me know so that I can know in which direction to proceed. But as I was saying, like doing my masters, I was a computer science student in my bachelor's, and when I was doing my masters, at that point I just heard more about GDPR and all of these privacy related laws, and that's when my interest was like I was kind of intrigued to know about cybersecurity and cyber forensics, and that's when I took this field as one of my subjects. And before I even know, I just don't know, like it was so interesting to even study about it and everything, that it just got to me. And even though when I was like a project manager or a business analyst with a lot of companies, even then I just felt that the knowledge that I got during learning cybersecurity, it just came through, because sometimes we have these requirements that come from legal perspective, compliance perspective, and at that time we have these terminologies that you generally do not hear in the IT world. But if you have like heard or like learned a little bit about cybersecurity, then those jargons will not feel like gibberish to you, and you can actually see like where it goes and how it actually works in the legal world. So yeah, do we have the results to the poll, Arushi?
I just shared them. Yeah.
Yeah, I am not changing my tab because I
So we
think it.
can see that about 13% are well versed. The majority, which is about 63%, they know about it, but they want to learn more. And about 25% of our crowd today is completely new and here to explore.
Okay, great. Okay, then let's get started. Okay. So today we are going to cover a bit about cybersecurity. What's the introduction? And definitely, I'm not going to go a lot into introductions, since all of you are aware of the field. And then we'll talk more about cyber threats, breaches, and some of the most famous hacks that happened in the past, and some of the common cybersecurity tools which you must know if you are thinking of a career in this field. And then how AI is integrated. Of course, that's a bigger part, because that no field is right now delivered without the integration with AI. So we definitely have to get a little bit information about that. And then, of course, we will discuss about careers in cybersecurity, and we'll take some questions as well. So what is cybersecurity? As you all must know, like there are two fields: cybersecurity and cyber forensics. Cybersecurity is more about being proactive and monitoring all the threats that could come either to the company or to the individual. I never say that this is just for companies, because I feel every individual also have some kind of content information that is personal to them, and they don't want it to be shared, even passwords for that matter. So like you protecting your assets, you protecting yourself against all your threats, or your company against all the threats, is something which is the core idea of cybersecurity. And the goal is to identify the vulnerabilities and attacks in real time, so that we can stop someone from hacking our system. So and I would say that this is one of the most Like if you, even you are into detective novels, and if you are into the investigation part, and like curious about knowing how to handle the evidences, then also it's a great field to be into, because you get to see everything that is happening behind the scenes into any company, and you have the power to protect it from all the threats or all the attacks that are happening outside. So that's about cybersecurity. And for anyone who is also interested in cyber forensics, it's something which comes into the picture when an attack actually happens. So that's when cyber forensics careers people come into picture, because they see like who did the attack and what really happened and where did we lack. So that's why these two fields and the people really employed in these two fields work hand into hand, because they have to tell each other how they're protecting the system and what they are doing, so that if something happens they can easily talk to each other and see the logs, and find out like from where this attack actually arrived. And we all have personal data, we all have like disruptions that could happen, because everything is so internet, like heavily operated on into internet, and there are things like deep web. So there are a lot of things that really happen, and that's why it's important and to protect your systems and to adhere to legal and regulatory requirements. So, without further ado, I'll just go to tell more about the types of cybersecurity. Now, this is important because if we are planning a career into cybersecurity, we need to know what kind of security are we getting into. Is it network security? Is it cloud? Is it application? Is it information? Is it storage security? All of these are at different points of the system, and the people into it are like protecting the system from different areas. For example, storage security is something where they are protecting your assets that you have stored, like important files and stuff. And cloud security is anything which is implemented over the cloud, because a lot of times companies, like I wouldn't say big companies, but small companies like startups, they don't have that much storage, so they just go to companies like AWS or Google Cloud and all of these cloud storage areas, where they could share their data. And either they're on public cloud or private cloud, but all of them are prone to attacks. So that's why it's important to have someone like a team to protect yourself from those everything that is happening into the cloud. Application security is specific to each application, and then we have, of course, network security, which is like connecting the entire network, either internal network or the external network. So that's the biggest area where you have to decide, like, okay, which part it, like, I have to really go into, and what actually attracts me as a prospective career. I also added a do you know fact, so I think you might have already read it. Like, there are different types of bombs in cybersecurity. I will share the deck with you guys, and you can always go through the interesting facts. But it is really important to know all of these things, especially the worms and triggers and different areas, because when you're actually appearing for an interview, they might ask you these kind of questions. So my entire deck is very much really, if it's made in like by keeping in mind that there could be possible interview questions that could be answered with the help of this deck. So so yeah so talking about key types of cyber threats, now that we know that there are different areas of cybersecurity, we also need to know what kind of threats are prevalent. Of course, there are many more, but then phishing attacks, digital fraud, data breach, malware and viruses, and the man in the middle attack are some of the most common ways of attacking any system or any individual's data. Phishing attacks are nothing but like just it could include where you're passing false information. And then there could be social engineering tactics, where someone could call you impersonating someone else, like, hey, I'm talking from your bank and this happened, can you please share your details. Then there could be denial of service attacks, where someone just blocks your system from performing any services. So there could be data breach, which is the biggest type of hack, which happens with major companies, where their data, I think there was one with T-Mobile, and recently one had happened with Sony PlayStation people, like PlayStation users as well, that their data was hacked, and all the people who registered with these companies, their emails, their personal information, everything was lost by the company. So that's the kind of massive data breaches could occur. And then we have a man in the middle attack, where someone could just like hack your network and get in the middle and listen to the conversations from both sides. And when I say conversation, it means packets, or it could be any information that is being shared between different networks. um, Yeah, and then of course there are simple viruses and ransomware. I think you all might know, and there are so many movies where they have shown that when someone sends you a gif, if you click on it, if you download it, there is some kind of virus that comes into your device, and then it just sees everything that you are doing and hacks all your information. So that's also kind of a virus attack. Earlier there used to be trojans for this particular thing, but like now that we are so much into the messages and stuff, it's really easy to hack someone by just sending them a gif with some kind of virus attached. So that's about the cyber threats. Now that we are already into it, I don't know if definitely we could not probably make this a very interactive session, because you'll all have to come out of like unmute yourself. But then I just added this slide to kind of show you how to spot some of the generic threats. And when we go for cybersecurity related positions interviews, a lot of times companies just give you these use cases and studies where they would ask you that, okay, this happened, this is the scenario, and what do you think could be a possible area where the breach could have occurred, or a possible area from which this attack might have really intruded the system. Or they could show you something like this, where they could ask you that, okay, what do you think is not correct in this particular email or thread, or whatever the kind of content they're displaying. So like here you can see in the first one there's Apple support. But if you will receive an email from Apple support, you will see Apple support written, but when you are actually going to expand it, you will see that there is some spammy email address, which is definitely not going to be Apple support, because mostly the genuine companies and everything that is really I would say full of integrity would have their own domain addresses, like dot apple.com or like dot org or something like that. They have their own domain system stating their names, rather than something spammy which you can see on your screen. Then the second one is item shared with you, office of the president. So what happens is, mostly in all of these cases, they try to make the situation look very tense, and so that people can just act out of urgency, and they just feel like, oh, something is wrong, let me just click and see what happened. And that's their target, where you can see like, oh, we received your instructions to delete your account, we will process your request within 24 hours, your account will be lost. So people would be like, oh my god, I'll lose all my data, let me click on cancel request. And if you click on that link, it shows you a bitly link, which is a bitly is something which is used to shorten a link. So never click on it and just like go from there. Just copy the link and paste it in your like another browser, and see like what that link actually shows. Is it actually coming from where it is intended to come? And then try to click on it, otherwise you will definitely go on losing some of the important data from your account. And then last one, as you can see, like, okay, you have received one new secured message. So why would you be sent a secured message from a western address? That's the main thing. Like what's www.edu, why is not triple w? So all of these are like small signs that you need to make sure that you are following in your personal life too. And then if you are into an interview, or if you are in serving in a company as an analyst, you're looking all these things. Even a lot of you might be professionals, so you might have seen that the companies are doing these cybersecurity exercises, just to make sure that people are trained enough to identify simple threats and attacks. Like there could be a phishing email, and then you are asked to report it as phishing. If you feel like this is a phishing email, some people click on it also, and then they receive a notification of doing a training because they clicked on it. So that's why it's important to know all these details, because if you are in a cybersecurity team and you're clicking on something like that, then that's not really good for you. So yeah, this is another example of similar something like Amazon's email, and it is using a Gmail address to send you an invoice, which is definitely should not be done. And here I've identified some of the quickest ways to know that something is wrong here. Either you are seeing it as a use case in an interview, or you are like following into it into your real life, like urgent request, bad spelling or grammar, mismatched email address information, generic signature line, or unexpected requests regarding personal information. All of these are some of the common ways of doing attacks. And if you are on the other side, then identifying the attacks that are being done by people. So yeah, that's about the cyber threats. Now I think let's just take a quick look about some of the popular hacks that happened. And as I mentioned, Sony Pictures hack, which was like in 2014, and it was a PlayStation network that hackers compromised, and the personal data of over 77 million users was lost and it was exposed. So the breach also led to the shutdown of PSN for over 3 weeks. And then they used like I've written like they've used tools like Splunk. We will go to it later, but yeah, those were kind of things were used to kind of trace to the group of hackers, and then they got to know like how it was done. But they lost the trust of their users. A lot of people did not buy PSN from Sony for a very long time because they got to know about this breach. And then people used to get these phone calls, which if they answered, another virus get transferred into the system. So a lot of loss was happened during because of this attack. It was not directly connected with Sony, but then the personal data that people have lost was like costing them so much more. So then we had like British Telecom cyber espionage, which is like a series of I think there was some Chinese group of attackers who actually got some really sensitive data related to global telecom, and then they like the exports of cybersecurity, they tracked their IP addresses, and that's how they got to know like whatever was compromised. In this case, rather than users, the entire servers were compromised, which is an even bigger I would say breach. And it not only just exposed the data of users but also the data of the company. So then there was this Ashley Medicine data breach, which was a website for really a platform for extramarital affairs, and then it released sensitive personal data of its users, including private messages, which again created a havoc. So all of these incidents, basically, the reason why I wanted to show it to you is that's when at this point, like in 2014 or 2015, cybersecurity was not that big of a field, and not many people used to go into it. But then what all of these things happened, then really this field developed, there were roles developed, and that's how companies got to know that okay, there is an importance of having your personal cybersecurity team rather than just having a third party evaluate your privacy and all of what your security measures time to time. You really need to have some people working on it every single day to make sure that nothing is going wrong and you are actually saving yourself from at least small attacks, if not bigger ones. So that's how the whole inception began for this particular field. So now, what makes a bad password? I think this is one of the most common questions I asked in, I would say, the pre-interviews, and this is a most common question which I guess even asked in telephonic rounds, where people just want to know if you know the exact length of a bad password. You can type into the chat if you want. If anyone wants to go ahead and type like if they know like what's the ideal password length that should be there to protect yourself from all kind of SQL injection attacks or brute force attacks. So yeah, if anyone wants to go ahead and type the ideal password length. I'm not gonna wait, I'll check to the answers later. But yes, even if you can see on my screen too, like a fuzzy dog 82 is a bad password. Then better was when it had more characters, and best was when it had that many number of characters. So actually it's really no someone wrote 8, but 8 characters is really not a very best idle password length. It should be at least 14 characters if you want to protect yourself against all type of attacks present today. Because a lot of attacks are basically they are even cracked from brute force attacks. And brute force attacks means for providing a combination of numbers and making sure, like suppose if I know that your password is 8 letters long, I would just go ahead and take my brute like software and try to crack all the kind of combinations of letters and numbers to see if I could crack it. Maybe it could take me 24 hours, 48 hours, some 3 days or something like that. But then I would be able to crack your password from that particular combination of letters and words. That's called a brute force attack by trying combinations. But if you are having something where between 14 to 16 letters, then it's really impossible for any software as of today like to just crack it in a small amount of time. Like it takes really long to get to it and see like how it's done. So yeah, this is a very important thing. If and people who are applying for this field and people who know, they should definitely learn more about passwords and how to protect yourself, and then how to protect the company as well. Some companies even have this thing, like iPhone users can actually put a 4 key password, or they could put it until 6 or 8 or something like that. Like it's 4 to 6 keys. And then there are some companies who have it mandatory that your iPhone, your Apple Watch, everything should have a 6 letters numbers, not just four, so that they could have ensured like better security. So these some things like these are suggested by the cybersecurity experts, and that's what companies implement. So it's really important that if you know about all these little hacks, then you can also give some good suggestions in your firm, and you can like have some spotlight on yourself. And of course there is two-step verification to add an extra layer of security, which I think all of us are already doing, getting one password on your email and then other on your phone, something like that. Okay, so now the interesting part. So, what are the popular cybersecurity tools? I feel like any cybersecurity tool should be scalable. Scalable means like it could be used to n number of applications. It could be expanded to networks and networks, not just one network, because sometimes there are companies as big as Amazon, Tata, and all these, where they just have so many small companies that you need a software which could even handle each of their small companies and then handle it all at the core as well. So it should be scalable. Then it should be easy to integrate, purpose built, well supported, and widely compatible with, because we code in so many languages, the logs are in so many languages. So it should be really compatible with everything that we are using for anything, either networks or coding or anything else, like softwares, different softwares for different things. So that's an ideal scenario where a cybersecurity tool should have all these factors. And based on that only, we have like there's a list of tools that you can see on my screen, which are like very famous software that most of the big companies are really using these ones. And I think Splunk is one of the widely used software for cybersecurity. Then we have Datadog also, which is again very widely used. We have Elastic Security also. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Kibana. Kibana is another tool which comes in to picture. It's a cybersecurity tool as well, and it's a business analytics tool as well. So a lot of business analysts use Kibana to identify logs, to understand like what's going on. um, then we have, of course, Azure is something which is widely used. And then there are so many, so a lot of softwares. So for this session, I've just included Splunk because we had to respect the time. But definitely, if you guys want and if people show interest, I could also get another session on Kibana, where we can see how business analysts are using Kibana for different analytics, like how Tableau and Power BI are famous for stats purposes and to show presentations in a better form. That's how, but like Kibana is more towards the tech side, where you have to analyze the logs and actually see like where the problem is occurring. So it also has its own language. All of these tools actually, they have their own language. Maybe it's not that difficult, it's not like really coding, but they have their own language. Like even in Splunk, it's a Splunk query language that we use to identify different conditions on logs. Like, okay, on I want to see logs of last week's Monday, and I want to see it between 4 to 6 p.m. So that's the kind of query that I would type in this particular search bar. And that's how I will get the events. For example, here you can see I typed -5 minutes, and it just showed me 343 events occurred. Now the red ones could be there are different ones, like, okay, critical, then there is error, then it's just these are traces. So these colors also you can customize on your own, and you can set up like, okay, what color I want for this which particular situation. Then we can see here like 5 errors, 4 code deploys, 15 rare events, 15 like anomalous events. And that's how a lot of things we can really analyze from this dashboard itself. And that's why it's a leading SIEM tool, because Splunk gives us the functionality to customize almost everything, and it can process really large volumes of log data into very quick amount of time. And it gives us like advanced log searching. So all of those things, and like just like importing security logs into Splunk is quite easy. And then we can also set up alerts, like for example, if I'm going somewhere but I really want to see like what's happening in the next hour. I can just set an alert, and if something goes wrong, it'll really notify me, and I can come back and check like what happened. So that's how these softwares operate. When you actually think of a career into this industry, you might be working on any of these softwares, and you might be like analyzing logs day to day to make sure that nothing like out of the box you are seeing, or nothing some like weird activity you are seeing on your platform. So here you can also see like some of the other services that Splunk provide, like enterprise, like Splunk also has its own apps. And most of the service tools that I've written over here, they are all mostly operating on the same grounds. It's just that the UI and the dashboard might be little different, but then the core services is kind of same for all these softwares. So now, the talk of the hour, like how cybersecurity is doing with generative AI. Like all the other fields, even AI used in cybersecurity for a very long list of services, as you can see on this left side of the screen. Like it is used for recovery and restoration, incident management, vulnerability assessments, policy review and upgrades, security stand-up and meetings, and as you can see on the right side, impact of generative AI by incident response stage. And we could see like, okay, how generative AI is really impacting at different areas. For example, if I would say that I want to identify a threat, so during the preparation of that particular thing, it has like a lot of impact. It's deep, like moderate impact. Then here for identification itself, it has like high impact. So that's how you can see like in recovery, in eradication, in learned lessons also, it has moderate impact. There is no field like currently. It's like, okay, there are a lot of fields like preparation, containment, eradication, recovery, where there is little impact. But when we use it for full potential, there is no field that would have little impact. And that's going to be the case in the upcoming years. So if we are already into it, and if we already prepare ourselves to work into this particular direction, then we have a lot of jobs for ourselves, and we would not feel that okay, AI is taking our jobs, because it is going to come. It's just that we need to understand and we need to learn like how we can implement it with whatever we are doing currently, and how we can build the best out of it. So for example, like I could give a quick example. For example, say I'm analyzing these threats only, and I built an AI agent that is helping me to analyze the entire day's events and give me a summary at the end of the day, and tell me what's gone wrong, what's gone right, and if something I need to really look at. And it could be my personal agent, and I don't have to look into each log like myself. I could just see the list, and it will save me some time, and I can use my time into something else, or discovering some new security solution for the company, or seeing something new that is in the market, or learning something new. So that's how you can implement AI into little things, and the impact will be shown in different areas. I just wanted to show that how AI is playing a role, because this is really important. Like 39% it's into identifying risk, 39% to threat intelligence analysis, and 45% companies are already using use cases of AI in some directions. Not everything, but yeah, somewhere here and there it's used. And then there are these areas we discussed, like there are different types of cybersecurity. So you can see in different areas, AI is used for different percentages. For example, cloud security is using defensive AI for 60%. So that's a lot. So if you are thinking of a career in cloud security, then you will definitely expect some kind of AI use cases there. And we have SIEM, like security event management and response, for which we have tools like Splunk and stuff, where it's used 10% only. So you might, if you are into a team, and if you are planning to get some AI agents implemented into the tools that your company is using, then you already got the spotlight here. So yeah, that's the kind of impact it is creating. So I think we've already discussed like how the future of cybersecurity would look like. But yes, AI is doing a lot into forensics and cybersecurity, cloud forensics and cloud security is using a lot of data. I've written cloud forensics as more data stored on cloud platforms, because if cloud forensics is increasing, then of course cybersecurity will also increase, because that means that more threats will occur and more vulnerabilities will be present. And right now there are challenges like encrypted data and anonymization techniques and increasing volume, which might be difficult to analyze. So with tools such as AI agents and LLM models, probably the analysis of these particular data volumes will be more easier, and it would take less amount of time as compared to what it has today. So yeah, so there are opportunities as well with the emerging trends, like of course, if we are into the development of advanced tools, advanced LLM models, then we can definitely stay into the race, and we know like where we have to progress. And let me show the next. Yeah, so here the you can see like how you can use those tools and how you can strategically direct your career into that direction, where like what kind of opportunities will be present. Because any role here, if you see in cloud security, network security, it would have some kind of tools, and there's nothing like like they are all code based or heavily involving a lot of programming and stuff. There are low code, no coding tools as well. So yeah, it just depends on how you want to really frame it and how you want to use all the particular information that is available, and go for your career. So here there's this thing where I've added the career pathway, like entry level has like IT auditor, incident analyst kind of jobs, and then intermediate has the cybersecurity analyst job, which is one of the most common job in cybersecurity. And then we have the admins, engineers, and architects, which is kind of the people who are building the this architecture of the company and architecture of the security frameworks in the company. And these are basically the people who are actually deciding on all these policies, what kind of software we will use, what we should not use. Like when I was with one of the companies, it was COVID, and at that time I was the information and compliance analyst with one of the companies, and they asked me to evaluate Slack, if it is good for internal communication and should we use it in the company. And I saw all the features it has, and I did all the risk assessment, and that's how I got to know, okay, probably this is not the best choice, but looking at the COVID circumstances, we can do a temporary switch onto it. But yes, it's not the very safe tool as compared to other tools out there. So those are the kind of things you'll have to do, risk assessments and stuff, when you are in the intermediate level. And of course, the skills for cybersecurity analyst, they vary from position to position, but then some amount of programming knowledge, some amount of network security and cryptography, endpoint security, if you know these things, even if you know the basics, then you can really like start building your career into it. So yeah, I think that's about it. And yes, I think we are open for some questions.
I thank you so much, Tanya. I think I see a few questions, in fact, on chat.
Okay.
Um, oh, Madhvi has responded to your question on the number of characters.
Is the first line of each word and easily remembers. And yeah, that's a good technique, I would say. And I
And I
also
think,
see, yeah, I also
oh,
see a question from Soumya. Yeah. How will it be able to read logs of different services, example, proprietary data? So, Soumya, basically in Splunk, we have this feature of uploading the logs. And say if you have different devices also, you can register all the devices, and you can register if the logs are separately encountered on each device, you can register them separately, and the logs will feed into each device. And when you bring all onto the dashboard, you can just say that, okay, give me a summary of each device, or give me the critical errors or critical logs of each device, and it will give you a tabular description. And that's how you can see it for different devices. It just depends on how you are really, how your framework is built, and based on that you can use Splunk or any other tool to just upload and see the logs. I hope that answers your question. I think we have
we have another question. Yes. I
yeah,
see two,
which
three more questions there.
Yeah. So, question from Ruby: which tools or platforms do you recommend for hands-on practice? I think Splunk is a good one because they offer you some free like a free practice zone as well. So you can see there, and there are a lot of companies that give you data logs. So you can just download the data logs and upload it into Splunk and see. Azure is also giving some free credit, so you can see that one. Datadog is a other one. Kibana is also a good platform if you want to be into analyst kind of field, not just cybersecurity analyst, but like a business analyst too. Then you can explore Kibana as well. All of these tools are good for hands-on practice. And even I feel like if you know just one of them, you will just get the hold of it, and you can perform eventually in every kind of tool, because the core is services are same for each of them. What kind of softwares we can use to secure our data, from Dhara? Um, so it depends on what kind of data it is. Like for example, if you are talking about PII, personally identifiable information, that's something I would say that if it's better if you have like logged it into some kind of notes, not really a software, because even a software is something like it's operated by someone else. So anyways, you are exposing your data to some other software, even if you are using it. So it's better to keep it on your own machine, just lock it with some place. And if you feel like okay, your machine is um handled by many other people and there is a chance that it could be exposed, then we can go for it. Like there are a lot of softwares, like there's LastPass, which is good for keeping all your passwords. There is another one called, I think in India, DigiLocker is very famous for keeping your records safe. So it just depends on what kind of records there are and what is your purpose of keeping them onto a software. That will define like what you should actually use. But I would never say that okay, write it in a diary or paste it in a scratch pad like that. That's the worst thing that you should do. So yeah, always this, like, even if you are not using any software, just lock it in your notes so that no one can just access it like straight off. um so I think that's
I
it.
think
Okay.
Soumya has another
Soumya has
question.
a follow-up
And there
question.
are two more questions in the Q&A.
Okay, so Soumya, each device has different format. How can I implement? Um, Even if each device has different format, you can always train your system to learn all the formats. That's what I'm saying. The LLM systems. I'm not sure if you're aware of Python and some of the models where they are like supervised learning and unsupervised learning models. What these models do is, if suppose you have three formats, you can like show them what the three formats are. You can train your models like how to interpret these three formats, and then when once those models are trained, then you can upload them, so in the form of logs. So basically you are training your system first to identify and see like how this all the logs are processed. What like say this X is interpreted as B, something like that. And once you have that information stored in a common document, that is something you will use to upload it to a software or any other platform. And that's how you can have your logs identified and processed. It might take some amount of time to train the models, but if you have different formats, that's the way to do. Also, that's why they say that a unified format, a consistent approach across the team, across the framework is important, because that's how it makes it easy to handle all of these complicances and nuances.
All right. I think if I take the ones from the Q&A, I think some of them you've actually answered, but just to still give them an answer.
Yeah.
One is, as a beginner, how should we start our cybersecurity career?
So, I don't know if I've already answered it, but yes, definitely. If you are a beginner, I would say first of all start with reading a little bit about basics of cybersecurity, like encryption, cryptography, all the attacks, all the threats. And meanwhile, I would also say like apply for jobs, apply for internships, because when you will give these interviews, you will know. Even if you are giving one interview and if they are asking you questions, you might not answer them, but you will know what kind of questions come into the picture, how you want to really like structure your approach towards building that knowledge framework. Because every company is at different stage of security. Some companies might need cyber security for just like monitoring their activities, nothing else, while other companies actually handling sensitive data. It could be a government body, it could be a company where it is having medical records. So it just depends on how critical their situation is, and that's how they will ask you questions. So every depending on the stage, the questions will differ and the knowledge base will differ. So start with the basics, start with basic activities, and simultaneously also start with one of those tools that I have mentioned, and see like what each and every service in that tool offers. When you will know about these services, when you will know about how they work, that will also give you a good idea of how cybersecurity world operates. And another important thing is always read more about recent changes in cybersecurity. This is a evolving world, like it's continuously changing. For example, GDPR came one day and suddenly the entire European framework got changed. People cannot even put like their photos in the resume. It is just different. It's just like very different from other parts of the world, you know. So read as well, like how policies are changing around cybersecurity, how rules and regulations are changing, in which country are you, how is that impacting you, are there any recent breaches, are there any recent hacks. For example, I don't know if you're familiar, there was this thing called when Microsoft announced that they have their all their tools were down for 24 hours. And like airlines like Indigo, they gave manual back tags, they gave manual tickets to people. It was all over LinkedIn. So what happened was, it was not a Microsoft breach, it was like they take their they like crowdsource basically. They had some sorry, I'm saying CrowdStrike, they had the software update done in their system, and that had some issues, some bugs into it, and that impacted all of the Microsoft apps. Sometimes it could be that indirect, you know. So it's really important to see like how vastly it is linked. And when you are just reading on these news, right, and when you are just seeing like what is happening in the world, that will also give you an idea of how to like use your knowledge base and how to answer questions in the interview, because this field cannot be trained. Every company has their internal systems and frameworks. So when you will go there, when you will like actually work on the desk, then you will know like how to handle things. So if you have the basics information correct, and if you have the basics framework knowledge good, I think you should be good to start with.
Great. I think the other one was, as you mentioned, shifting to LLM and AI agents is good for analysis. Could you please suggest some resources for learning purposes? I think it's the same thing.
Yeah, I think if you just want to learn about AI agents, I guess Copilot is offering some of the great like agents, like just to see like how agents work. And they have their low code, no low code or no code kind of platform where you can just write, I want my agent to do this, and they'll create an agent for you. So you can see from there like how AI agents work and what kind of LLM models they're using for that. There is another one called mindstudio.ai. They also have some agents and some ways of clicking agents. They have some extensions that you can add into Chrome. For example, I like to see YouTube videos, but I don't want to waste my time seeing the entire video. So I'll just click on my agent and it will summarize the entire video for me, and I can just read the summary. So that kind of things the agents can do. So yeah, it's good to explore these tools that are helping you with AI, building of AI agents, and what kind of LLM models they're using, and then try to bring it into cybersecurity.
I think there is a last question here, which is what you suggest. Should we use pre-trained models or train the model from scratch?
Well, if you are on a stage where you think that you're not handling a lot of sensitive data, and if there's nothing that is seriously going to impact anyone either internally or externally, if something goes bad, then you can always use pre-trained models, because that means you're in a low risk or a moderate risk zone. So in that zone you can actually see like if pre-trained models are already built with the kind of services that you want. But if you feel like, okay, I'm handling highly critical and sensitive data and it's this like personal information of people, then I would say train your models, because maybe the pre-trained models do not have everything that you need. So first step before choosing what to take is risk assessment. Anything that you want to do, first do a risk assessment and see at what stage you are, and then take a decision based on that.
All right, I think those are all our questions. Thank you so much, Tanya. I think I remember when we were discussing before you started, I said I think this presentation will have more questions than you'll need time. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for that, Tanya. I think this has been a wonderful session. I see a lot of thank yous in the chat as well. Um, Thank you so much for everyone for joining. If you have any further questions, I think please feel free to connect with Tanya on her LinkedIn. She's also on our India WhatsApp group. So You can connect with her there as well. Thank you so much, Tanya, once again.
Thank you so
And
much.
thank you so much for everyone for joining.